Welcome back to my channel, Famous and Fabulous. In the ongoing conflict surrounding Amber Heard and Johnny Depp, yet another, this emotionally dramatic chapter, has emerged. In this instance, Depp's Lily Rose. Depp's daughter, the young model and actress, renowned for upholding respectful quiet during the turbulent court cases between her Amber Heard and her father, have reportedly spoken up in the most straightforward way possible and sincere manner feasible through a brutally truthful letter, as stated by closed sources and information leaks, which Lily Rose has subsequently gone viral, officially severed connections with Amber Heard, writing a statement that exposes her uncensored ideas, intense feelings bruises, and the price that years of public her personal life has descended into anarchy and her relatives. This evolution has added an additional layer to the Depp-Heard narrative, emphasizing the significant influence their tense relationship had on the kids of Depp, especially Lily Rose, who had to make her way through the often chaotic realm of parent dispute, under the spotlight of international examination. Lily Rose stayed for years, mostly out of sight, avoiding any open criticism of the court dispute or the accusations that both sides had to deal with. Nevertheless, witness statements given in court, assertions, and any number of media negative portrayal, in the headlines, in distress, it grew steadily worse. Clearly, the repercussions went beyond the scope of the two protagonists. In Lily Rose supposedly recounts in the letter about her one-on-one interactions with Amber Heard, considering the times that are currently consider her to be deceptive, manipulative, or disturbing on an emotional level. The Voice insiders who asserted that understand the content of the document mentioned experiences a rollercoaster of emotions and fury, yet it maintains its sharpness throughout. A feeling of treachery washes over her, not simply in terms of upsetting family dynamics, but in her estimation of Amber had an impact on public sentiment, interpersonal relationships within the Depp home, and conveyed a picture that differed from the reality that Lily Rose experienced. The language used makes it apparent that this wasn't only a fit of rage, but a thoughtful publication of sentiments that have been there for a long time. Among the many other serious assertions made in the correspondence, the claim made by Lily Rose that she has never trusted or felt completely at ease with Heard. Regardless, she refrains from detailed claims including actual harm. She purportedly portrays a setting that was dramatic, abrupt, and was characterized by aggressiveness that was not overt. On certain situations, she remembers her father appeared to be a shadow of his former self, withdrawing both physically and emotionally, under the strain of his partnership, alongside Heard. Lily Rose, the mental toll that this contends, was apparent to individuals in close quarters, yet emerged as a significant facet of their home lives throughout that time out. Her writing delves into the intimate realm of emotion, exploring, without a voice, like a stranger in her own, returning to her house, and charges her with hurtful rifts that separate Depp from his little ones. Beyond all else, what follows, the letter, contains Lily Rose's intense devotion to her father. She did highlights how challenging it was to let the public view him in a negative light, especially in cases where she had the impression that the important details from the media story context. By the way, she means news articles downplayed or ignored the both emotional and mental, claimed abuse by Depp to endure, while emphasizing and frequently bolstering Heard's account of events. In Lily Rose composes a scathing letter, and that although her dad has some flaws, he's kind, giving, and incredibly committed. In front of his kids, something she would observe being completely embraced by, "Hello, Amber." She goes on to say that Amber looked for ways to damage their relationship between a father and daughter, depicting pretending to be helpless as she shoves Depp to withdraw from people who had known him most excellent. The letter's heart and soul supposedly appears in an area where Lily Rose faces the silent monster within. She says that she refrained from speaking up, fearful, but not apathetic. Fear concerned about negative publicity, dread of misunderstanding, and probably the majority, intensely, the dread of becoming a pawn while adults engage in a conflict. Now, however, they have successfully navigated the legal battles as well as a gradually changing popular sentiment. Fortunately for Depp, Lily Rose discovered audacity to communicate. There is no simply a personal assessment, not to mention a therapeutic discharge, a technique for recovering her story and setting limits for her psychological health. The choice to go public by Lily Rose, or at least not the least, so that her letter may be circulated outside of the people closest to her, appears to have partially motivated by the long-term mental burden of the previous many events years. At one point, she talks about melancholy, uncertainty, about one's own identity, disasters, which she states are coming of age in a home whereby dysfunction. However, she never claims. Scarlett heard threats of physical violence against her. She does suggest a correlation between emotional manipulation that caused her emotional distress, sense of self-worth, and her connection to her dad. She shows resentment at being shown as unappreciative or distant in the media, especially when she decided against tending to her herd to the general public. To clarify, Lily Rose's silence was rather than unspoken consent, a deliberate ruse to shield herself from a more precarious scenario. During a single, rapidly moving section of her message, she thinks back on her birthday through the depths of despair, estranged from both sets of parents, thinking about whether she had a life of luxury that was worth it. Expense of being genuine emotionally, she did, penning the words for each and every red carpet and the covers of magazines, her heart's desire, the sake of tranquility, security, and familial ties that wasn't perpetually tied to a single dispute in the past caving in. The one that gets the most part of the correspondence occurs when Lily Rose aggressively confronts Amber Heard, charging allegations that she used feminism as a weapon and the victim in order to benefit oneself. She has a writing career that keeping an eye on Amber at news conferences, listening to her discuss the subject of abuse, was similar to seeing an exaggerated portrayal of hard truth, with which she was at odds, except from the woman she was acquainted with. Dear Lily Rose acknowledges that disputes that took place, but she questions story, stating that her dad was the only unifier or the cause of everything dysfunction. According to her, Amber was at most a very disturbed spouse and at the worst person who purposefully undermined the well-being of individuals in her vicinity. Such assertions are very controversial and may, if they will be publicly or legally, is still up in the air. In any case, there has been a resonate, especially with Depp's legion of admirers for whom Lily Rose's statements serve as affirmation to long-held misgivings. Social numerous reactions have surfaced in the media, popular hashtags that back Lily, while denouncing Amber Heard and Rose, further dividing an already fractured society. As anticipated, Amber Heard's reps won't address the issue at hand, instead of sending a lengthy message. The position she has taken in the past claims and maintains her desire to resume her life's journey. At the same time, Johnny Depp's inner circle have verified the legitimacy of the road to Lily Rose and lauded her bravery and fortitude. Rumor has it that Depp should feel profoundly touched by his daughters, the phrases she used to describe her letter as anguish and restoration. Advocates for the performer claims to have made consistent attempts in order to protect his kids from the horrificon his own struggles, but that Lily, the decision by Rose to speak up has resulted in drawing nearer to them. Amidst the recent publicity initially, the father-daughter pair seems to be further united than before. Frequently observers grin, laughter, and encouragement collaborative efforts. To all appearances, for amidst the anguish that has occurred in the past, afresh the mending process has started, and it is firmly based and not by remaining silent or evading truth. On a more profound cultural level, topic of discussion surrounding Lily Rose's letter. Some are starting to reconsider how much public trials actually cost, along with media spectacles involving youngsters taking part. All of Depp-Heard member sites, shocking specifics and worldwide interest is frequently viewed as entertainment. But outside of court controversy and rumors around famous people, individuals, particularly young ones, coping with what came later. Dear Lily, conversations have begun after Rose's letter from the fields of psychology and media and listeners regarding the moral limits of speech in the community. Is it appropriate for children should famous people be asked to shoulder Thebe, stuck paying for their parents' blunders? At what stage does the public's interest arise? Citizen interference. Those things did not queries with simple solutions, however. The concerns raised by Lily Rose's singing pushed to the fore. By opting to not only has she spoken, but she has also individual suffering, but also increased the discourse on trauma, avoidance, of quiet, and emotional distress, in the long run suppression. Finally, the horrific Lily Rose Depp's letter signifies a momentous occasion in the enduring legacy of the bond between Depp-Heards. It goes beyond a daughter defending her father's rights. A young woman is taking back control of her speech, her sense of self, and her story. In her case, what has transpired? There is more to a letter than merely an expression of limits, as well as an emblem of clash between generations, stress, and its effects on society scrutiny. Born into popularity and brought up by friends and family, Lily Rose, within the glare of relentless media coverage focus, has always taken up a vulnerable stance between personal data protection and widespread interest. Her lack of speech within the fights in court between her dad and before this, Amber Heard could be understood in different ways. A few observers noticed apathy, whereas some perceive it as dread, and some people thought it might be a subtle kind of stand-up. On the other hand, now that such an emotionally exposed and uncompromising in the letter, all previous presumptions are in pieces. Her silence makes it wasn't indifference. It was a safeguard. It was protecting a hesitant youngster from burn to death as the wildfire engulfs her loved one, shelled the attention of the general population. The bravery required of a daughter to tackle such distressing issues, particularly because her words are likely to have to be scrutinized by news outlets, is not allowed to too dramatic. Life for Lily Rose has included, after years of seeing her dad decline, to tabloid caricatures framed in turn, playing the role of villain or fallen heroicon. And yet, somehow, she managed to compelled to deal with the challenges of coming of age and entering adulthood, while continuing rumors, speculations, and the ongoing mental strain from her members of the family. The letter portrays years of suppressed feelings, a tempest of bewilderment, sadness, annoyance, and in the end, understanding. Within it, her lack of pursue justice or compassion, quietness is what she desires. She prefers to share her narrative independently. Words, unadulterated by the studio's preoccupation with stories about right and wrong, malevolent. Meaningful significance of Lily Rose opting to express herself through written language should likewise be mentioned. When you write a letter, you intimate. It is intentional. Quite the opposite furiously posted on several social media sites or made into a sensationalized TV show interview. It is an introspective, private, and long-term. By using this structure, urges readers to engage, rather than just respond. I get it. Her insights provide a glimpse into the personal challenges of adolescence in an intimate home where marital strife, intricate levels of dysfunction, coexisted. What does it imply to be a daughter from a broken home, continually observing the individuals you adore becoming news stories? With her depiction of the ways in which the divide between Dad and Amber's relationship gradually deteriorated, deeply meaningful to one's family. She did describe seeing her father step back and contemplate the shifts in his character traits that emerged in light of the rising domestic tensions. She did represent Amber in more ways than one divisive associate, but in a way that causes trouble powerful individual who's turned the equilibrium inside the Depp family home. It follows that, without ambiguity, having Amber around wasn't only a mismatch given to Johnny Depp. According to Lily Rose, she was perspective, a poisonous aura that cut off to his family and friends. What enhances another level of heft to her information is her consciousness of herself. Rose Lily recognizes her position of privilege as, despite being the offspring of two famous people, additionally exposes the emotional toll accompanied by it. She talks about her childhood, a time brimming with unspoken challenges, and an ongoing feeling of instability. In her thoughts, she finds their candor is devastating. She did longs for the comforting embrace of her father joy, those fleeting instances of strong tie between a father and daughter that blossomed into less common with each passing year, because of the Depp's relationship with Heard declined. These anecdotal memories do not solely to criticize Heard's depiction of occasions, while simultaneously serving as a gentle reminder that the adult choices frequently have repercussions, that poorest, most vulnerable, and vulnerable. Another thing that comes out of her letter is the subject of deceit, outside of sense, of obvious dishonesty in film, but in a subtler, sneakier level with regulation of emotions. Recommends Lily Rosetto the change in Amber's attitude toward her in light of the general atmosphere or personal disputes. She talks about conflicting aspects of Amber's personality, one that can seem amiable when out in public yet icy when private. Looking back on these instances in now that we're older, have new significance meant for Lily Rose. There is a sense of, as if Amber's warmth and friendliness were theatrical, a front created toe in order to keep up a public persona instead of establish a true connection. Her heart hurts the air, particularly when she thinks back on times when they wanted to speak up, instead of receiving a positive response or delicate gaslighting. The devastating, according to her, manipulation was never subdued or aggressive all the time, emotionally and mentally taxing, damaging. But through it all, she details the presence of an underlying optimism in what she said. Speech by Lily Rose concerning the healing process, both for herself and her dad, but anybody who has ever felt stuck in a family dynamic they had no choice but to opt for. She stresses how crucial it is to constraints on being honest, even when the globe may not be prepared to listen to it. Rather of presenting herself as a victim in her writing, she actually considering oneself a survivor who has mustered her own story to shape. The letter from Harris charged with both criminal and civil offences. Additionally, a statement of independence. She has transitioned out of a scandal's silent daughter-famous pair. She embodies individuality in a way that begs to be acknowledged without any animosity, but rather due to necessity. Especially noteworthy distressing section in which she addresses show her father was seen by the general population was so different from the man she was aware. The stories she heard as a child, kind words of support, jokes exchanged, and the intense love he has for art. Personality features that seldom appeared in the news during, when the legal fights were at their worst. These the story that her recollections tell to the demonization Depp encountered during the height of the accusations made against Amber Heard, the fact that her father has defects. Although she acknowledges them, she further claims that the man the world witnessed hardly resembled the father she had known. The contrast between the two emphasizes the ruthlessness of public scrutiny and the simplicity which damage is done to reputations and the public's personal view. Not to mention the letter from Lily Rosea, part of a larger cultural context. Notable prominent personalities' children are starting to make a statement within the social media era when everyone possesses a platform. Next generation from famous people are hesitant to participate in detached bystanders to their loved ones falling apart. Make your voice known, valued, and comprehended not as their parents' extensions, but as people in their own right. Dear Lily Rose personifies this change. Her statements do not appeal for pity, but instead, recognition, understanding the suffering she endured, the development she attained, and the understanding she has achieved. She is unable to demand that the world choose a side. Rather than that, she is inquiring about subtlety, compassion, and just so she can be herself and speak her mind without fear of thereby reducing it to material for tabloids. Depending on Amber Heard's decision, we'll have to wait and see. Despite this, might not be important anymore. Strength from Lily. The letter written by Rose is not about the response. Despite the fear it inspires, the bravery it stands for. A display of emotions' refusal to be silenced for years. Anna symbol of strength, developed through inferno of societal anarchy. And when deciding in order to express herself, Lily Rose Depp assaulted popular opinion, but changed the definition of survival and speak up in Hollywood's shadows. Disorder. She has just become one of a rising gathering of individuals clamoring for that truth be acknowledged, with established legal facts that wounds healed over time, insignificant disputes are recognized. However, even when they evade detection by the public view. Her letter is more than just to put an end to the quiet. It's the start of that she, her loved ones, and maybe even a novel form of responsibility in our examine and evaluate the individuals behind the fame.